What's up, YKTR Sports? Welcome back to the show and go. The boss is still in mighty Aotearoa, so Skipper Scope in the building. What's going on, Scope?
Filling in again, eh?
Yeah.
I jumped in for you.
You did, yeah, last week.
Was it show and go? Was it?
Yeah, it took a hit.
Yeah.
Without me here, but I'm back, thank God. Isaac's still away until this afternoon, so Scope's out here running the show. You've had yourself a big morning as well, work-wise.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Yeah, cheers. There's a little bit in that.
No, I'm saying.
Just a normal morning for me, mate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You did well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Good weekend?
Yeah, really good weekend. Been pretty chilled out the last couple of weekends, which has been good. We got a few things in the works. I've got a few things in the works. We'll probably get to that at a later date, I think.
Yeah, we will. Lots of things in the works.
Very worky.
Very worky lately. Obviously, only the 4 games with Origin around the corner, so we will talk a lot of Origin today, touching on a few of the NRL storylines as well, but you managed to catch all the games this weekend?
Yep.
Yeah?
It's always a tough period, especially for teams that are affected by Origin. But there were a few surprising games.
Yeah.
In particular, the Titans put up a really good effort against the Storm.
Yeah, and obviously casting our mind back as well, the Dragons had a massive performance, but it is a weird time to watch footy. Like, it's not that the sting gets taken out of it without those players, but they don't take up as much of the storylines in NRL because it's all Origin-based. So, you half sort of forget it's on, and then it's actually good footy when you do watch them play because guys coming in who probably wouldn't get an opportunity get out there and put on clinics.
Yeah, and I always try to I normally just watch one game a day anyway. So the fact that it was nice and easy. We just had one game each day, and you sort of I didn't get too clustered with too much footy. You know, sometimes I can out footy myself over the weekend, and you just sort of get over it. So just the one game a day was perfect. Speaking
of the one game a day, one game yesterday was Lukey's Parramatta Eels putting on an absolute fucking clinic. He's got the mic over there, so I'm sure he'll be chiming in. Very proud of himself.
Go the Eels.
Go the Eels. Over the Newcastle Knights, but obviously the big storyline coming out of it, and it was the first thing I brought up with you this morning because I want to get your thoughts on it, is the Reid Mahoney injury. So brought into the Queensland side, and obviously was under that Harry Grant, will he play, will he not play cloud. Harry Grant's cleared. They send Reid back to Para to play, which I found a bit odd. And because the footy gods, poor bloke does his shoulder and it looks like it's going to be a couple of weeks. So firstly, what did you make of, I suppose, obviously it's sad for Reedy to get injured, but the decision to send him back and play a game before bringing him back to the camp. Can you talk me through what Kevy and those guys would have been thinking in that respect?
It's been done.
Because it's not like he was underdone going into camp.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's not, another thing to it too, it's not like really Para, obviously the scoreline indicates that. I don't think Para needed him as well this week, but it's been done before. He was probably never in their calculations to actually be a part of the 17. It was just more, unless, they wanted to see how Harry went. As soon as Harry must have looked all right in the first couple of days, they sent him back. It's really disappointing for Reedy. I think it was more about getting him in camp. He's not too far away. He's obviously first reserve now for Harry. That's obvious. If there was something to happen to Brimo or Val in this game coming up, then he might find himself on the bench moving forward. But it sucks. It's one of those things, especially for him. He would have been going into that game. He's a tough little competitor, and he goes 100%. But at the back of his mind, the last thing he would have been
just
thinking was like, I just need to get through this game, and then to happen at in the last 10 or 15 minutes, essentially when the game's done. I know Mitchy Moses got pulled off the field, with about 20 to go with his he had a niggling calf injury. It would have been nice to see
Reedy get a
little spell, considering what was at stake for him and what he's been up to in the last couple of weeks. But he'll be all right.
Yeah.
He's still young, plenty of time. I believe the shoulder popped back in straight away.
Well, that was, I suppose, not silver lining because you never want to see him get hurt. But when he threw the arm out straight away, I was thinking, well, everyone would, you think pick, which is obviously takes a lot longer to recover than something. Sounds like a shoulder pop like that sounds worse, but in reality, a pick, like if you do your pick, it's a proper innings on the fucking sideline, isn't it? Yeah, so shut up, Reedy. Obviously, it is gutted, but Benny Hunt, old Mutters mate, gets called back into camp, and if he wasn't already in the calculations, we all probably thought he'd feature at some point in this series, so not surprising to see him come back in. I'm sure he will feature, but we'll get to the Origin stuff a bit later on. Stick to the NRL because my undefeated season scope, the Panthers dropped a game. It's almost as if you called this to a T.
I think most people would have caught it. That's the thing. You went out on a limb to say that they were going to go. So I've got to give you credit for that because you made people nervous for 14 or 15 weeks.
We dared to dream. for a little bit there. But yeah, missing 8 players at Leichhardt against the Tigers, improving Tigers side. That was one of the better games you've seen, kind of that spine play as well together. Just a bit too much.
Brooks was really nice.
He was. It was just a bit too much to overcome. Try as Matt Burton did, and he had a proper fucking dig. Tyrone May, probably in his own, he'd be his own harshest critic. Probably wasn't his best game in the 7 jumper either, but luckily they paid out on all those grand final punters last week, because I think those odds would have taken a bit of a hit dropping the undefeated season. But what do you make of the game, and what does it do for, if anything, moving forward for Penrith? Doesn't mean a whole lot to you?
Nah, nothing at all. I think, they got half the Origin squad sitting on the bench there at Leichhardt Oval, so they'll be sweet. A few younger players. It's almost a positive. They get a few younger players that get brought into a system.
Some of them, like Spencer Lemieux, hadn't lost a game ever
in like 28 games. Yeah. So, some good experience for a couple of those guys who learn how to deal with it. I reckon if they had gone, like you said, undefeated all the way through,
pressure builds, man.
And fuck that.
Yeah. I remember you think about,
if anything, it's a positive to get it out. You don't want it too late if it's going to happen, but you get it through, done. There's an excuse for it. No one's talking about that hype, and then everyone's well aware that if they're full strength, they beat the Tigers.
Yeah, agreed. And like, to use an NBA analogy, you remember when Golden State were going on that run to try and catch the Bulls?
Yes.
70 games. Yeah. And it's like every game, like they'd be playing a second of back-to-back against Sacramento, and you could see the pressure just for them wanting to get that streak. So look, they had a great run. They went, whatever it was, 13-0 to start the year. What are you smirking about, Leaky?
Off. This is another. What did we talk about in the office last week?
What?
That was my little shout out. So you've stolen from Scope, then you're stealing my little Golden State
analogy.
Analogies.
You're the worst.
Fuck, I'm bad with that, man. I go. What did I say to you?
Morning coffee. Don't mention anything.
This morning, I said something to him this morning as well. Oh, it was some sort of content idea that he floated last week, and I go to Luke this morning. I was like, bro, I had this. I was thinking about. It was about Reed Mahoney.
Reed Mahoney, yeah. That's right.
I was like, oh, bro, we should have clipped that podcast we had with him and Isaac. He's like, yeah, I said that on Tuesday.
Yeah, so for people who are sitting at home watching, if Jacko comes up with something that hits, there's a good chance that he's got it from someone else here in the office.
That's very true. I'm like a sponge, mate. I just listen. Unlike you can't.
While you guys are talking about the game, it was good to see Stephen Crichton get pulled into the Tigers when they scored the try.
Yes,
and I think
he handled it well.
Yeah. He did. He knew it as well.
Yeah, he handled it well. Good. That's mad props to him for that too.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of chirping at the end.
Respectfully,
and I dare say, I don't know if the Tigers play the Panthers.
They do. I think it's round 24. So, it's going to be one to watch.
Guess what? That's in the fucking memory bank.
Yeah.
A shout out to Stephen Crichton for having a bit of a giggle in the whole situation too. It's one of those things, I'm not really a big fan of it, but I'll tell you a little story, right? So when I played in the 2014 finals, that was the infamous week that the Bulldogs, I believe, knocked out the Storm, if you remember it, before we played them. And Mick Ennis patted Cameron Smith on the head.
Yep.
So do you remember that? So then we played him the next week and we scored a try, even though we lost to the Bulldogs as well. We scored a try to tie it up, and I ran past Mick Ennis and patted him on the head.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things, I was like, fuck you, like it's not normally my go to do something
but if you can give it, you better be able to take it.
I remember watching it going, Mick Ennis and to the fucking goat. Like, that was his thing, because he was always like the number 2 or number 3, and he's always chasing Smitty, so they must have had their little rivalry. So I thought it was my chance to sort of pop in.
Hit the noogie.
And then it started a big melee. So what happened was I patted him on the head first and then ran and went and grabbed one of the boys, and I think someone copycatted me. Someone seen me do it, so they thought it was a good idea to come in and do it again. But then one of my good mates, Rennie Matua, he's seen the second guy do it. Yeah. I don't know who it was. It might have been.
You reckon we could find the tape?
Maybe we can find the tape.
Yeah,
we'll find the tape. Anyway, so second player, and then Rennie seen it. So Rennie come
with the bumpers.
And then there's this big melee, and then I'm on the outside going, got away with it.
Don't poke the bear, man. Well, let's jump over then to Thursday night. Obviously, we touched on it. It seems like an age ago. Friday night. No, Thursday. The Dragons.
Thursday, yep.
Dragons put on the clinic. Matt Dufty, tell you what, as far as off-contract weapons go, as more and more of them re-sign or sign with other clubs, he's quickly becoming one of the hottest prospects on the open market right now. Just before you jump in there, I would absolutely love to see my boys have a red-hot crack at him. I don't know how realistic it is in terms of, it's always hard to sign a player to convince them to move over to New Zealand, but if we lose Rog he's a pretty handy replacement. But Duff killing it at the moment.
I don't think there's a player off contract that you wouldn't like to see at the Warriors.
That's fair. That's fair. I've actually got my own I've got my own a few on contract players. Yeah. Joey Manu, come over, baby.
I know you've been high on Joey Manu.
I know he's in Tokoro at the moment. I don't know whether he's toured the Mount Smart facilities or not, but
maybe he got a tour from one of the Warriors greats, and Isaac John.
Yeah, maybe
maybe they had a secret meeting in Toke.
It's a power play from the brass. If they call in Isaac, they really want your signature.
Yeah, that's big time.
You have a coffee with Tohu or Roger, it does nothing for you. If Isaac John pulls you aside in Mount Wellington for a little bacon and egg roll.
I think even Mark Hoddle was over there as well this week. So
Mark could get me to sign for anyone.
No, but all seriousness, Duff, he's on the back of Nico Hynes re-signing last week to come out and put a performance like that, because he would have been, a lot of clubs would have been chasing Nico. Now they've plan B, and if plan B ends up being Duff, that's a fucking not a bad plan B, man. I messaged him and I said, talked to him about his stocks going up, and he said he was...
he knows it.
Yeah, he's well aware of it. And I said, you know what, you might even get me some jam. I might come out of retirement, because he's putting cunts over for fun at the moment.
Yeah.
Scoring tries, setting them up, just everywhere. So
he's obviously known as an attacking weapon in terms of like his ability to run the football. But when he starts laying on tries for other guys like that, like would love to get your thoughts as a player. Like when there's a guy who's such a attacking weapon in himself, I could imagine that when they add that pass and that sort of finesse to their game, it just opens up the whole field, because you can't drift off him like you could say, I'm not going to say a player, but a traditional ball player that doesn't have that running threat that he does is probably easier to defend than obviously a double threat guy like Duff at the moment.
Yeah, and he's one guy that's benefited from the new rules, I reckon, in particular, like last couple of years, where the game's opened up a little bit. The small man's coming into the game. You look at some of these young guys like Reece Walsh and Sam Walker who are going to benefit from it long term. Duff's a guy in the short term who's, he's always a solid first grader. He's thereabouts. He was up and down there for a little bit with Mary, in and out of the team, but since he's been injected and he's confident, you can tell he's a confidence player as well. So to see him playing good footy at the right time, the Dragons faithful were begging for him to stay. So it's a good couple of weeks coming up for Duff. I'm sure he'll secure the bag in the next couple of weeks. He'll have that sorted.
Should we start crystal balling? If not the Dragons, then where? I've already said where I want him to go.
Yeah, well, a lot of the clubs that were in the sweepstakes for Nico, I believe. So Broncos,
Canberra
were talked about. Yeah. Canberra talked about, were they?
Canberra were talked about as well. Obviously, they got Chance.
Yeah.
I don't know where else Duff would fit really.
Yeah, but I don't see.
There's a lot of good
fullbacks
fullbacks going around
down there. Yeah, so you'd look at probably the Warriors, the Dragons, the Bulldogs, and did I say the Broncos? So Broncos, Dragons, Warriors, and Bulldogs.
Yeah, those
are the four teams
that
could use him.
Yeah, off the top of my head, those are kind of the only four that are in desperate fullback need mode right now. Oh well, wherever he goes, he's going to get a well-deserved fucking contract, because he's an absolute weapon, Duff. Speaking of weapons, introduce a new segment, Mutters Monday.
Yeah, Mutters Monday. I've got a little bit of write-up where we'll be announcing that we'll have our own sort of team that we'll be following week to week. And this week, Mutters Monday goes to a mozzarella cheese. I was almost going to say it.
Hectic cheese. He's self-proclaimed now, mozzarella.
He believes he's shredded. Like I say in my little write-up, he's an OG. He is 2 poor weeks away from, just kicking the feet up and returning to the Mutters.
Yep.
So, he had a try, had a line break, he had a line break, try assist.
Fouls and assists, yeah.
He's had a good 3 or 4 weeks, to be fair. Mozzarella with baby goat injured and on the sidelines. He's he's another guy, man. Like I don't know if he's still off contract, and his one's taking a little bit longer than you expect, but he's going to get paid a monster.
Yeah, he deserves it wherever he goes as well. It's those same sort of clubs that'll be sniffing around, but absolute freak. Whenever these Origin players go out, we always talk about how great Melbourne are at the next man up mentality, but he's the best guy on the park. Every time that Money and or Harry Grant's not there, and he's the next best player on the park, they don't miss a step, man.
They've always done a good job, Melbourne, of having like a really good Kiwi contingent in their team throughout the years, and it's one part that I talked about with Jerome and Cheese. about how they've managed to maintain their dominance as well, because they've developed those players. They've got like 3 or 4 out in Origin most years, and they've still got that Kiwi contingent that do such a good job for them, led by, in particular, Jesse Bromwich over the years. And then, of late, you got Cheese and Jerome who are, getting the job done without Munster, Baby Goat, and even Pappy. He's missed a lot of footy.
Kafusi as well, yeah. Speaking of Origin, should we jump across and talk a bit of Origin? Because it is this week. It is this week. Am I right? Yeah, it's this week.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Feels weird. I don't know why. I think Origin creeps up on me every year a little bit.
This one's for sure.
Feels good.
Yeah, it feels quicker.
Yeah.
It feels necessary.
Feels right.
Feels right.
Yeah. It's not that end of the year weirdness that we were all kind of a bit over footy. But you've highlighted here, which I think would be a fun little way to break through. You've kind of highlighted 3 key matchups going into Wednesday, and you're starting right up front. It's the big boppers. They've been taking all the headlines. Tino versus Payne Haas.
Yeah, this is what
the fucking car accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, this is what Origin's all about. I think it was a bit of a letdown in Game 3 when fireworks didn't spark.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they will again, but they've come out and said, people were trying to, poke at them. And
I love that they leant into it as well.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, I think there's a genuine dislike for each other. I think there's obviously healthy respect because they're two of, they'll probably be, in the Australian team together if a team was to be announced, but they're so competitive, and, they've got the little brother, big brother Broncos Titans rivalry now as well on top of that. And they just seem like when they get out there, I believe that they've been competing against each other for a while now too.
Yeah.
And I think, Payne Haas has always had the
wood on him.
The wood on him and the bragging rights over the years. So Tino's still playing with that chip on his shoulder, which is grouse because it's going to make for an exciting game 1.
They will come together. Whichever one of them touches the ball first, they're coming together.
Yeah. It would have been nice if Payne was starting.
Yeah, exactly.
Tino will have his match fitness about him. There's a pretty good chance that he plays big minutes in this game with what they've got on the bench. So
he'll be doing the old David Kidwell, Willie Mason. He'll be playing the first 20, but he'll have his eye on the bench the whole time. Yeah. Just waiting for the big fella to come on, put a shot on him. Obviously that's the amazing matchup that we've all been waiting for. I don't think they're not going to go out there and just start punching on with each other, but it's going to be no. It's going to be a very
too smart. It's too important, this game.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one. Jumping over into the halves, obviously Cherry versus Cleary. We have the OG sort of Origin incumbent, like Cherry's been there, done it for a long time, as the Australian half. He's the guy up against the Dally M leader, young kid who's, the guy. We said it last week. He's by far from gone missing in the big games, but he hasn't really stamped his mark on big games like he has for Panthers. But fuck, man, he looks due to me.
Yeah, he is due. This is a big test. Cherry will be licking his lips at this too. He's quite I talked about it last week as well with Ice. He's one of those guys that will happily. He knows his role within the team. He's so comfortable now. I think back in the day, it would have been important for him to have big games in these sort of matchups, but now he thinks team first. He's more worried about the result than his old personal performance. Whereas I think Cleary will bring out the best of him in both sense, like in both worlds. So. I've got no doubt Cleary's going to have a good game. On the same with Cherry. I think it's going to be a really good matchup, and I think because a lot of people have a lot of people within this office have talked about New South Wales blowing Queensland out. I don't think they're going to blow them out.
On the Charles Barkley of YKTR Sports, if I'm calling a blowout, jump across and throw all the money you have on Queensland.
But even the Oracle said
that's true.
He tipped.
Did he collect on Para as well? I know he had Sevo and Para 13+.
No, that was James Morris. So Jimmy collected. Jimmy we got collected. That. Yeah, we'll wait for Team Rocket to announce.
Save it for Team Rocket.
Yeah, but we ended up just getting back to even. We hit 2 from 8.
Yeah, gun.
We got a place bet and we got the Para Sevo anytime, Gutho anytime, Para 13+. But anyway, back to Cherry and Cleary. It's an exciting one for me. Like you said. He went 0-3 last year. Cleary, he didn't win the comp, didn't win the series, and somehow didn't win Daily M. So I reckon he's a good chance of going all 3 this year.
I think it was only the TikTok thing that really robbed him of the Daily M. Remember he broke COVID protocols because
did he? I don't think he lost any points for that though. In the end, no, he didn't.
No, I'm pretty sure they reinstated it, or they just
did.
Said it was a suspension and that's it.
Yep. So he missed a game.
Yeah,
but maybe that game ends up getting the points back, but.
It was close with
he went 0 from 3, and I think he's a big chance of going 3 from 3 this year.
Ooh, like that. Yeah, Blues 13+. And then lastly, you've got Wally Lewis reincarnated in Capewell up against Latrell. Different when they pull on that Origin jersey, those Queensland centres for some reason, but it's going to be a big task for him trying to fucking. Latrell's a bit of a handful in Origin, isn't he?
Yeah, well, this is just because of the comments I made last week about Latrell in particular. It's probably not a marquee matchup with Luke Capewell being a noted back row, but I sort of underrated Capewell last year going into the Origin series.
Everyone did. Yeah.
I think a lot of people did, and he stood up really well. But this is a different beast. This is Latrell. So if he can manage to do, because this is where I see this is a clear mismatch for me.
Yeah.
And if he can do half a job on Latrell, I think it sets up some of the weaknesses that I thought might be in the Queensland team. It sort of evens it out a little bit more because I dare say he's going to be seeing a lot of traffic down that edge. I know Jerome Luai as well will be familiar with Luke Capewell, so he'll be playing on the left edge.
That's a good point.
He'll know his strengths and weaknesses, I'd say, after spending 18 months with him. So I'll be looking at that side of the field, and I think if it's going to come early and often.
And if you tuned into the Rookie, the Vet, and the Oracle last week, Latrell's a bit of jam for you as well as your
that's what
match.
I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty high on Latrell having a big game in this. So that's what I'm.
Was it
that's what I'm sort of
23s?
focusing on this matchup in particular.
Yeah.
23s for player of the match, and then we got a little bit of jam on the weekend. So this is like an early bet, but I've got 100 on Latrell for first try as well.
Ooh, Tommy was also good value.
Tommy was
14s.
Tommy's 14.
Yuck. Disrespectful.
Yeah. He's up against Origin Gags too, so that's...
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. Obviously, we're going to have plenty more footy content as we roll through. More Monday Mutters, more Justin Horro, more Scope, and you've got the big basketball game tonight as well, so I'm sure we'll have to...
Yeah, playoff Scope hits different.
Up the Gunners.
we got Chico back tonight. He's missed a fair bit of... basketball for us, so there's going to be a lot of ISO.
Yeah, I was about to say the best handles at YKTR Sports, Chico.
So
not a lot of passing.
He likes walking up the court with the finger up, like we actually have sets. So that'll be a giggle. We like to be pass first, Spurs basketball.
Yeah.
At the Gunners, but it turns into LeBron James when Chico plays. So it'd be
well,
interesting to
listen, when it comes playoff time, I haven't watched you play, but I can only imagine there's going to be a lot of effort plays from yourself. Diving on loose balls.
Yep.
Reach-in fouls, a lot of that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Tune into the blog.
YKTR Mag.
Show and go, baby.